What's going on, guys? It's ETA Prime back here again. I finally got my hands on the C64 Mini and I'm super excited to show this thing off. Now, I've heard a lot of stuff about this, input lag, laggy games, and things like that. I'm going to put it through its paces and see if it acts up on me. This unit comes preloaded with 64 classic Commodore 64 games. Now, like a lot of these little mini units coming out, there's some really good games and then there's some crap on there. Licensing is really hard to get for all the good stuff, so they definitely have to throw a little trash in there with the treasure to make the catalog a little bigger. They kept BASIC in here so you can actually load your own games from a USB drive. They also offer firmware updates, and I'm not going to update this. I want to get it out of the box. This is on firmware version 1.0 because, like I mentioned at the beginning, some people were having a lot of input lag with these. I'm hoping it's not true, but you never know. So in this video, I'm going to be doing an unboxing, a teardown, and I also want to do some testing here. Let's get right into it. Straight off the bat, the packaging is amazing. This slides right out of the sleeve. Really nice packaging. I could display just this box on my shelf and be happy. So here we are. This baby is tiny. The color is a little off. I'm not sure if they tried to do a little bit of a, an aged look for the Commodore 64 or not. It is a little darker than it should be. But I like it. I think it looks great. We got two USB ports, power button on the back, 5-volt power in, and HDMI out. That's about it. There's also a status LED on top and a little ventilation on the bottom. The keyboard is non-functional. When I first saw this announced, I was hoping that the keyboard would be functional. I know it's a little small for some hands, but it would have been an awesome addition. It definitely would have brought the cost up also. The joystick is modeled after the Elevated Competition Pro joystick for the C64 and older computers. They didn't use a USB port back in the day. This was an Atari style connection, and this is USB. So I also own the D64 plug and play Commodore 64. Now this isn't just your run-of-the-mill plug and play you buy from Walmart. These things are pretty expensive and they're really great. If you can get your hands on one for cheap, I definitely recommend it. It looks like they used a similar mold for the joystick on the Mini C64. It's a full-size replica, so you don't have to worry about it being a little smaller. There are a few other knickknacks in here. Now, it does not come with a power supply. You will have to provide your own. We have an HDMI cord, about 6 feet long, I guess, and a micro USB cable to power the unit. So you'll have to provide your own power supply. I recommend at least 2 amps. I've seen some people getting lag with 1 amp power supplies, and then I've seen some people say that they used a 2 and alleviated all the lag. We're going to have to test that out. Since we're talking about these mini consoles, I wanted to break out the SNES Mini, just compare sizes, and the NES Mini. While I'm here, I figured I'd throw in one of my favorite 3D printed Raspberry Pi cases. This is an Amiga style 3D printed case by the guys over at Retro Pi Cases. I'll leave a link in the description. He offers all kinds. He even has a Commodore 64 3D printed case that looks amazing. I just wanted to throw this little case in here because I do a lot of Raspberry Pi emulation videos, and the Raspberry Pi can run Commodore 64 games very, very well. If you run RetroPie, Laka, or Recalbox, you can have pretty much the same experience as this Mini C64, and you can add hundreds of games. And of course, I had to take this thing apart. So I just pulled the feet off, took the 4 screws out, and the top will come right off. There's not much going on in here. We do have our little single board computer, which I'm going to call it that. There is a button connected to this board, and you can access it from outside of the case underneath the sticker, so you could either poke a hole there. I'm not sure if this is for recovery or firmware upgrades. There's also a status LED, and they added some weights in here, and I'm actually glad they added these weights because without them, this thing would be super light. It would just move around the desk all day long. I went ahead and pulled the board out. For the CPU, we have the all-winner A20 ARM Cortex-A7. It's a dual-core CPU. It's clocked at either 1 to 1.2 gigahertz. It definitely has more than enough power to run C64 games. The GPU is built into this A20. It's a Mali 400 MP2. That's a dual-core GPU. They're usually clocked from 100 on up to 650, so this is in the 400 to 500 range. And again, this GPU is perfect for C64. As for RAM, we only get 256 megabytes of SD RAM. There were 2 slots on the board. I'm not sure if they were going to add 512 or 2 128s to make 256. Either way, it really doesn't matter now because we only have 256 megabytes of SD RAM. Not the highest, but perfect for this kind of little unit. Flash storage, it's a NAND flash storage unit, 256 megabytes that holds the operating system, games, and everything else that they put into this. From the outside of the case, we've already seen the two USB 2.0 ports, the power button, the micro USB, and the HDMI. But there's a few other little things hidden inside of here that I just want to show you real quick. There is a recovery button here that's not accessible from the outside of the case. This could be for flashing the entire operating system. There's also a U-boot button and a UART connection. Since we have access to all of these, there is a good chance that we could add more games to the internal storage. Now, I'm not exactly sure how much storage is left after they put the 64 games that come preloaded, but there's a chance that we could add more. The games are very small. Now, this does run some sort of Linux version. I'm not sure if it's just some kind of custom Linux operating system that they created specifically for this, or some sort of custom Android version. Either way, they're both Linux, and there's a really good chance that this thing could be hacked in the future. Both Linux users and Android users love to tinker, so I'm sure something will come of this. Alright guys, so here we are. This is the interface. It looks really nice, 720p. As soon as you boot up, you just have to choose the language of the system. There's also some options down here. We have Pixel Perfect, European 4x3, North American 4x3, Pixel Perfect CRT, got some decent scan lines in it, European 4x3 CRT, North American 4x3 CRT. Now these aren't scan lines like the new Analog Super NT, but they do the job. They don't look bad. I'm going to leave it in Pixel Perfect mode. Back out of here. Have some more options. You can change the language from here. Got a few to choose from. And USB keyboard setup. US. Got a couple other options. Legal notices, system information. Like I mentioned, I wanted to test this out on version 1.0 because there's a lot of complaints out there. So I'm going to be doing that. I will do a video showing you how to update the firmware if enough people are interested. And factory reset. So there's a lot of games here that you'll like to play. There's a lot of fluff here also. There's a few games that I really like to play. I want to show you basic real quick. It's super easy to use. You're going to need a FAT32 formatted USB stick and your game on the stick. You can use an external keyboard plugged in with USB, or we can use the virtual keyboard or the on-screen keyboard. In this video, I'm not going to run a game from a USB drive. I just want to test what's on here. I'm just going to test a couple games. A couple games that I know of, a couple games that I know I can play pretty decently, at least in emulation with RetroPie. Let me find something here. If you want a full list, I'll leave a link to their website. There's a lot of games in here though. We'll go with Hawkeye. Not a bad game. I actually enjoy playing this one. Okay, so some of these games will require a keyboard to get started. This one here, you can use the joystick just to start the game, but if you need a keyboard, you can either plug in a USB or open up the virtual keyboard. Sometimes you need to hit a specific button like F1, F3, F5 to get the game up and running, or even just a number to choose your joystick or keyboard. But this one, we can play it completely with the joystick. I'm going to swap over to a bigger gun. Straight off the bat, I'm not trying to jump here, and my joystick is making me jump. So I'm not feeling the lag that people are talking about here, but I am feeling the cruddiness of this joystick itself. It is not micro switched, so it's a little hard to use. I guess you could get used to it. But some of these games require really pixel perfect movement, and this is definitely going to be the downside of this system. So I need to jump over, and I just stopped dead there because of this joystick. Right in midair. This is one of those games I have played a lot through emulation. Over here. Sometimes you jump when you press over, sometimes you don't jump when you press jump. It's hit or miss with the stick, man. I don't know. It's not the lag that's killing me. I don't notice much lag. It's just the inaccuracy of the stick itself. Now, trying to hold this between your legs or something like that, it's not going to work out too well. You got to have this on the tabletop. You can get used to it though. We'll back out of here, and I'm going to try another one of my favorite games. Cybernoid or Cybernoid 2. Played this game a lot. If I can find it. We'll go with number 2. So this is one of those games that does require pixel perfect movement to pretty much do anything. I'm going to switch to my bouncers. I already feel like I got to push too hard on this joystick to get anything done. Give me a second. Come on, come on. Made it. Bouncers. Go, 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 go. Switch back to bouncer. Oh, come on, baby. Really, not feeling the stick, and to get through here is going to be impossible using this thing. I'm actually really frustrated right now. Alright guys, so here's the deal. Straight out of the box, the joystick sucks. I don't think it's really input lag that's messing me up. It is the joystick itself. I have to press way too hard on it. I did try an SNES USB pad. Doesn't work. PS3 controller, 8-bit controller. Also tried a keyboard to play the games. It will not work in the games. It does work in BASIC for typing everything. If they add support for gamepads, I think this could be pretty awesome, but then you're losing the C64 stick here, which is a big part of the Commodore 64. Or if they just added support for keyboard inside of each one of these games, it'd be worth it. I don't really know. I'm actually kind of frustrated right now with this joystick. It's hard to move around, and I don't think it's the lag that's killing me. I really don't. I tested out a few games off camera, and every one of them, it's the same scenario. If I try to press over, sometimes it hits jump. These require pixel perfect movement to play these games correctly. 99% of them do. Some of these games are going to be fine, but like you just saw, Cybernoid, Cybernoid 2, they require accuracy to get this done. Now this was a hard game already out of the box, but playing it with this controller, it really sucks. So overall, the emulation is great. Works fine. The controller is horrible. There's two options here. Either I can wait for a firmware update to enable other controllers, because there's really no way to fix this controller that it comes with, or I could throw a Raspberry Pi inside of here. One of the main reasons I got this was because of the injection molded case here. I think it looks great. It's an awesome display piece, but for what I paid for it, I think the controller should work a little better. As of making this video, they are not officially available in the United States yet. There are third-party sellers on Amazon and eBay. I'll leave links in the description, but they want $150 US. They are available on Amazon UK. I'll leave a link down below for the viewers in the UK. I had one of my buddies actually buy one of these from Amazon UK and ship it over to the United States. It was actually cheaper that way than to buy it for the $150 the scalpers are charging for these right now. I think it's a cool idea, and I completely understand how emulation works. It's not going to be perfect, but having something that's almost unplayable is definitely not acceptable. So I'm going to leave this decision up to my viewers. Leave a comment down below if you want to see me throw a Raspberry Pi 3 in here. Also, if you just want me to wait for a firmware update, let me know. I think I already know where this is going to go, so I'll start getting things ready. Really appreciate you guys watching. If you could, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And like always, thanks for watching.